Good morning, sunshine.
Welcome to the real world. Whoa! Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with free air. There's no second best, okay?
GM. All right. So, trade of the day. Yesterday, I mentioned how Bitcoin had, you can go and read this. There was a lot of betting on Bitcoin's direction yesterday within this range here. So basically from Thursday's open until Thursday's close, you saw basically a full round trip in open interest, pushed all the way up, tried to break out, failed to break out, came back inside, stayed inside. Open interest retraced a lot of it. So a lot of betting on both directions, long and short. Sellers tried to sell at the start of the New York session as well. Breakout failed. Market stayed within this tight range. So that means that positions were absorbed. So longs and shorts both got absorbed there. As we are moving higher and near the highs and compressing in a lower volatility compression near the highs with a spot premium, with funding rate pretty much neutral, typically that would be a sign, a pretty good sign. But I want to also loop back to this path I've drawn out, and I'll show it again here. So the market itself, with both wherever it's going to go to, resistance above, but also the fact that we've got gaps below, opens up a potential for a dump down. Maybe it goes higher first, or maybe it just drops straight down. It might not dump at all, but the reason why I expect it might is like what I said on daily levels. There seems to be, the markets are starting to price more in the potential of a 0.5%, 50 basis points rate cut by the Fed next week, which again is going to be considered as a slight negative in the near term, because the Fed shouldn't have to cut so extreme relatively if they are confident that they're on the right path. It might be a sign that they're a little bit behind. So how I would view it is, I think it's probably going to try and take the highs first. And I think if it does, you could see a flush down. And if it obviously holds it anywhere in around there, then that's all good. We're fine. No danger there. The negative would be if it drops below here, which could happen, but seems unlikely at this point. But I am of the opinion that this week we've seen Monday tried to sell off the New York Open. Tuesday tried to sell off the New York Open. Wednesday tried to sell off the New York Open. Thursday tried to sell off the New York Open. All of those got absorbed. So the sellers got absorbed, sellers got absorbed, sellers got absorbed, sellers got absorbed. So every New York session has tried to start with selling and got squeezed up. When I went to Friday, we're going to the end of the week, and I think the market has started to shift and maybe get a little bit overly positioned to the long side. Now, with the way it's compressing, consolidating, I do think that it wants to go higher to at least test and clear out that. But I definitely have one eye on this if it takes the highs out for it potentially to drop back, because we've left behind some gaps from before, from early in the week. And of course, it may just roll over here. It did try to break out yesterday, so we've had 1, 2 false breakouts. So tried to break out here, failed. Tried to break out here, failed. So be mindful that the attempts to go higher so far have failed. We may not get another one. It might just roll straight over. But if it does, I'm looking down to here. You're looking at 56.5 as an area for Bitcoin to show support at. And if it holds there and consolidates, that's where it could potentially build up for a move higher going into the rate cuts. So I view it as a short-term thing. In the near term, Bitcoin might have got slightly ahead of itself. Nothing crazy though. The market's just kind of consolidating and grinding up through the range. It's certainly not panic stations yet or anything like that. It seems to be pretty much okay. But definitely one thing that I would have my eye on going forward from here. And what else? That's about it. Today's Friday. We're going into the weekend. So if there isn't a move pre or during New York session. Obviously, when we get to Saturday, Sunday, not a lot's going to happen most likely. So if there's going to be any kind of move, it's probably going to be in the New York session, which is in the next few hours, and then from beyond there. And that's it. So I would have an eye on this area, this gap. It might get left behind, but if we take the highs and reject, that's probably the target where it's going to go. Actual bearish would be if it loses that level. So that's where you want to watch on a pullback if we get that. And that's it. GM, GM, GM. See you later for Casual Fridays. It'll be slightly later today. I'll let you know. GM, GM, GM.